Porsche presents the latest version of its luxury loader in southern France.
The Porsche Cayenne, prime example of an environmental pig, high consumption, high CO2 emissions, perfect for all those who don't care about climate change. But ever since these neon yellow calipers have adorned the rims, the critics' voices have become quieter. This Cayenne ranks in the A+ efficiency class and should consume only 3.2 liters every 100 kilometers. Whether these values are really correct and how much driving pleasure remains, we're about to test.
In comparison, the Turbo, the top motorization of the Cayenne, is given as having 12 liters of consumption per 100 kilometers. That's a lot, but acceptable for a 550 horsepower machine. 3.2 liters in the hybrid, however, are a true challenge. But is that value realistic?
We will test that out now. Well, I'll set everything to neutral now. And then I won't even drive very fuel efficiently, but just how you would drive normally. Not very sporty, not very efficient, just normal.
How much the e-hybrid really consumes, more on that later. First, we want to find out what the Cayenne can do as an everyday vehicle.
An SUV has to be practical, has to offer space. That's why we look into the lounge. Well, if I sit here now, it's not a Rolls-Royce, but the front seat is set for my size, and I still do not touch with the knees here. Then that should mean something. Also, I notice here that the backrest is pretty slanted backwards. Of course, this has a negative effect on the trunk volume. Here's, as we know it from an SUV, a high but level loading sill, but you can lower that simply by pressing a button. Space is okay, but if I look here now in the storage, there is no room left, because the 100 kilowatt battery has to fit in there.
E-Machine and Turbo together develop 462 horsepower and 700 Newton meters of torque. The sprint to 100 is even 0.2 faster than the higher positioned Cayenne S. So the hybrid not only has a positive effect on consumption, but also on the performance. Porsche demonstrated with the 918 Spyder in 2013 what it meant to have hybrid vehicles as performance-oriented. 2017 and the Panamera followed as the e-hybrid, and this now accounts for a fabulous 60% of the total sales of the series.
Right now we're going in the SUV segment, Cayenne e-hybrid. First expansion stage. Let's see what happens. Of course, we hope for a continuation of the success story of getting up to 12% market share. And the more this topic solidifies, and the more customers go for it, the more you will also think about extending the whole thing to other series. And there's something possible in every direction, no question.
It's probably just a matter of time until the first 911 comes out as a hybrid. However, Porsche is currently still holding back with a complete electrification of the fleet.
At Porsche, we believe that we will continue in every direction. On the one hand, we will continue to optimize the classic combustion engine and also make it more fuel efficient, while of course not neglecting the performance, which is what Porsche expects. At the same time, as you can already see on Mission E, which we will be putting into series production in 2019, we are also going full throttle in terms of electromobility. We will continue in both directions, and we'll see. Depending on how the markets decide in which direction they want to go, we can react accordingly. A Porsche has to be lively and dynamic. Of course, this also applies to the Porsche Cayenne. And if I am now in hybrid mode and I want to accelerate, it takes a little while until the car realizes, okay, the driver really wants to accelerate. Then the gasoline engine turns on and it goes forward. But if I go into sports mode, I have a really good direct throttle response. My head is constantly hitting against the backrest. But then, the Porsche is also really fun.
We don't want to tax the real consumption too much. With a dignified driving style, it is possible to let one's view wander through the interior of the Cayenne.
The processing here is, of course, at the highest level. That's just Porsche. Leather everywhere. In this case, a nice brown leather. Also has something, but probably not for everyone. Lots of piano paint, a little bit of chrome, a bit of wood. That's how it has to be in a car in this price range.
For a base price of 90,000 euros, you get the currently most powerful hybrid SUV on the market, on a par with the Bentley Bentayga hybrid with which the Cayenne shares the engine.
What is on the clock after a good 100 kilometers of testing? 9.2 liters of fuel consumption per 100 kilometers. That is much more than stated, but that is about as much as the factory specification of a Cayenne S. And there, a Cayenne S2 is still a decent result because this SUV weighs 2.3 tons, has well over 400 horsepower, so a consumption of 9 liters is actually not that bad. And now my battery's empty. That means I first have to drive to the charging station now.
In defense, the test drives are largely on rural roads. In the city, the consumption would be much lower because the Cayenne drives much often purely electric there. The battery is fully charged after at least 2 hours 20 minutes. Using a commercial household socket, 8 hours of charging time should be planned.
There are manufacturers who commit themselves to a date. By 2020, 2025, we will complete the entire electrification of the fleet. Things are a little different at Porsche. They're watching the market a bit. Where is the demand going? And that's why Porsche is still developing in 3 directions. The normal combustion engine will still have a future at Porsche. On the other hand, the electric motor and the hybrids will find a middle ground in between. Maybe a Cayenne e-hybrid like this is simply a way to get the customer used to electrification.